My name is John Levy. I'm so happy to welcome you to this pre-concert conversation with Dr. Claude Baker. I was here, of course, for the premiere of Set Homage, brand new work for organ. I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. Dr. Baker is visiting from Indiana, the state, not the city, where he is Chancellor Professor of Composition at the Jacobs School of Music, Indiana University. It would be very difficult for me to give anything more than a cursory summary of his accomplishments. He's very, very widely performed and commissioned composer. He's worked with some of the country's very best ensembles. You may have heard of some of these, like the New York Philharmonic, for example. He's been recognized by the American Academy of Arts and Letters, the Kennedy Center, Fromm Foundation. It's a very long list, and we're so happy that he's found a few moments to speak with us this afternoon. Thank you. I do have a few questions for myself, but we're planning to open it up to you in a few moments. If there's something you'd like to ask Dr. Baker, please be my guest. We could start, I guess, with early experiences and so forth and training, but before we get to that, maybe long drive over from Indiana. Did you have some tunes on? Were you listening to anything interesting?
I don't have the radio on the CD player when I drive. I prefer the app when I'm driving. You set cruise control and just takes you to right here, and I wake up thinking, yeah, it works out perfectly.
Okay, so not bad at all. Composition. When you were young, early musical training, when was it that you knew you wanted to become a composer?
Well, actually, it was quite late. I was a junior in college, and I was a theory major. So, as part of the curriculum for this particular degree, I had to take composition. It's not something that particularly wanted to do, to be honest, at that time. But very quickly, I was hooked. And in my senior year, wanted to change my focus to composition rather than theory. But it was really quite late. I was almost 21 years old before I wrote my first piece.
Wow. And did you have some early influences that were steering you in that direction, or was this just really a result of that?
It was really a result of the course. I was given very specific guidelines for those early pieces. To write in this style, using these procedures, these processes. So the early pieces were very much guided by the teachers I had at that time.
I see. And as your career progressed a little bit, you were attracted initially to larger ensembles, and especially for orchestra music.
I wrote mostly chamber music, to be honest. My passion, I guess, now is orchestral music. But I really quite by accident began a long association, 8-year association with the St. Louis Symphony. There was, at that time, between the 80s, something called Meet the Composer Orchestra Residency Program. And so I submitted my music. I'd written one orchestra piece to that point. And I submitted that piece to a number of orchestras that participated in this residency program and received no responses from anyone. Excellent. I got a note from Leonard Slackman with the St. Louis Symphony saying that he liked this piece and would like to perform it the following season. I went to that performance. I got to know Mr. Slackman and the orchestra. They commissioned another piece from me. And as a result of that commission, I joined the orchestra in 1991 as the composer in residence. And was there until 1999. So I was looking quite a bit for that group, and then afterwards was for commissions with orchestras.
And that's actually kind of a nice segue to the new piece, right? And I think the lead in the program that's since Dr. Baker's very first work for organs. Could you talk a little bit about how that process got started and how it might be different from your normal compositional process?
Yes, this was a frightening undertaking, I will tell you quite honestly. And I think most of my composer friends who are not keyboard players and who are not organists will say the same thing. It was daunting to have this and yet at the same time extremely exciting to have this wonderful commission from the AGO. But I was really frightened about it. It's embarrassing to admit that as a senior faculty member at a university, I had not had any experience with the organ whatsoever. And when students would bring in pieces, I would kind of go about that. I'm sure that's nice. I guess you know what you're doing with it. Now I ask them, why are you using this picture? Why are you using that notation? Why are you doing that? It's been a great learning experience for me. But it was a long learning experience. I, first of all, immersed myself in repertoire, listened to everything I could from every period, studying the scores. And then I had the great fortune to have access this past summer to the main organ at the Cogswell Hall, Cogswell Hall. This is a remarkable orchestra. And the curator of the orchestra, he looked at the stocks that were available on this particular one. I said, okay, this is what will be compatible with that. And therefore, I was able to work with the sound, which to be honest, I didn't think I would ever be able to accomplish these kind of not that I would work with the orchestra. I mean, it worked. That was a bit appropriate because that's how I think. But I did have able to try various things, experiment, and hear these sounds and these combinations of sounds. And I really was very, very fortunate to have that opportunity.
So the process began in a lot of utilizing at that instrument?
It did. Just experimented, just pulling out stops, trying to, it was the first thing I did to know every stop at the time of recording, just to see what
Naturally, yeah, of course.
Just like a kid.
For sure, yeah. So, talk a little bit, if you would, about holding a model aspect of the work, because you mentioned this listening. I have some particular composers in the program in this all right. Where did they?
Well, as I was studying through all these scores and doing my listening, I kept coming back as I was studying to these three composers. I just was drawn so much to this. Of course, I knew Messiaen's music, I knew his music, and Bill Albright was, I knew him quite well for many years. Wonderful composer and superb organs. But these three composers spoke to me in a very unique way, and I found myself influenced by them, hearing their pieces, and I wanted to pay homage to them, hence the title, to thank them for this influence on my piece. You will hear in this piece many overt references. If you know music Messiaen, you probably do, then you'll certainly hear that very clearly. Albright's music is perhaps less important, but his influences here nonetheless through the use of the pedals, as you will see, and the second movement of this. Bill Albright has a work called Organ Book 3, and there's a jig full of pedals. And to watch this on YouTube is just amazing. It looks like a crazed puppet doing this. So you will see at one point Mr. Olavi taking on this task. It's not a jig, but it's a very daunting part for the pedals. And I think these worked influences primarily from one piece called Luna, which uses these clusters that, pitch clusters that will expand and contract. And you will hear that right from the very outset. And then in the second movement, I do pay homage to him, but actually that homage is not so much his organ music as to the music from the 60s, instrumental music. But this is a modern, highly poetic, very rapid, almost minimalistic type of doing
Pattern.
Yes.
And I suppose I should also ask them about Mahler. Maybe even more direct reference. Do you often quote?
I do.
Okay.
I use quotation a great deal of them. I'm a highly referential person. I tend to pun a lot, and I make reference to all sorts of things in pop culture when I speak. And so it's natural that I would draw from existing musical sources as well. Now, Mahler, as I said, also seems a very strange choice for someone to quote in a work for organ. Because the reason that I actually threw on this last movement, Cogswell movement, a song of Mary, is as again, a declaration, a tribute to these composers, all of whom are deceased, who form such an important part of shaping this piece.
You worked a little bit with Christian John.
Yes.
At what point in the process did that happen? Finish with the pieces in draft form?
Chris Young is one of the organ instructors at the Jacobs School of Music. And right from the very beginning, he was one of the ones who helped get me oriented. And every time I would sketch something out, I would bring it to him. I met with him sometimes twice a week, just to say, is this feasible? Is this practical? Can this be done? And he would always say the same thing. Well, it's hard, but they have to practice, so that's the way it is. They have to practice. That's just it. You can blame him.
Okay, so there wasn't too much of a reshaping.
No, he was there right from the outset and all the way through till the end. And certainly said that this would be easier perhaps I did. But he actually made some things much more difficult that I had intentionally originally planned. When you're dropping in the second movement, you'll notice that he's playing. He'll be playing on one manual and then occasionally dropping to the lower manual, Tosca, and it's really moving very fast. That was Chris's suggestion. I was trying to accomplish this in another way completely. But Chris said, oh, that's the great one. Isn't that what Yeah, but it'll be fun.
Okay, two more quick ones. So, going in, we have this very difficult situation. It's a brand new piece. We get just one through. What would you like listening to have? What should we listen for?
This piece does make a breaking demands on the performer, but I suspect that for many audience members it will make demands as well. This is not going to be in any way similar to the other repertoire on the program. It's not, you think about organ music and what comes to mind is giant, beautiful chords, richly colored, and there's some of that in there, I'm sure. But my primary focus, because I came from this orchestral background, is color. And I'm actually hearing instruments. I'm actually hearing small symphony with this. So I'm actually drawing on the reeds, the strings, and I'm the flutes. And I'm thinking orchestral. So I remember I had one solo piano piece. I wrote it for a wonderful pianist by the name of James Dick, who was the artistic director of the Round Top Festival in Texas. He was doing this European tour back in 1998, and he asked me to do a piece for this tour. He gave me plenty of things, but I was just getting nowhere. I was hitting a brick wall, and I could not. I finally called him up and said, Jimmy, you just got to cancel the piece. You're going to have to take it off the tour because I'm not getting anywhere with it. And far from being upset, he said, well, that's because, look, calm down first of all. The reason you're not getting any place with this is because you're trying to think like a keyboard player. You're not a keyboard player. You're trying to think pianistically. Don't do that. You're an orchestral composer. Think orchestrally. The piece opened up like that. I finished it in no time at all. I'm there by the deadline. And that's how I felt about that piece. And I took Jimmy's advice and applied it to this piece. I'm not an organist, I'm not a keyboard player. So I thought orchestral about this piece. And so you will hear lots of unusual colors. And I think I tried to exploit the full resources of the system in that regard. And so color drives this piece really. And if you come to the piece with that in mind, hopefully it will resonate.
So, a fun one then. You have this program. Was there a guilty pleasure in there? Working music well? Someone found who was a yeah. someone who's writing fun, fluffy.
No.
No?
No, I'm sorry.
I'm just curious.
I'm a very serious person.
Okay, I think we turn it over to questions from you, and I will restate the questions. Don't be alarmed. That's just for the purposes of our stream. Yes, sir.
Have you written anything chorus with voices, songs, how do you relate that function?
So the question is, have you written anything for voice, for chorus, and what's your experience with that?
In the past, I'm an instrumentist. I play trombone. I'm familiar too. And I grew up in orchestras and bands. And like so many people who are orchestrally oriented, I had never done anything for chorus until this past year and a half. So the past year and a half, I've written these 2 pieces for media in which I never wrote. I wrote my first choral piece. And again, it's like with organ. I kept saying to myself afterwards, why haven't I done this before? This is fantastic. This is the most wonderful medium. I can't believe I haven't done it. It was a real joy to watch me, just as it was a joy to do this piece. So I only done 1 choral piece in addition to 1 organ, but I can assure you it will not be the last. This has just been such a thrill to write. And this is what I enjoy, of course. It's another to see.
What was the text?
This was actually based on a madrigal of Monteverdi. All nature was yes, good translation. And the whole tempo. So there'll be these allusions to Monteverdi's music. So Monteverdi sort of come in and out in a very surreal sort of way at times. At times it's very overt, at times it's really quite hidden. You never guess this had anything to do with Monteverdi whatsoever. And at those points was doing more by text.
Do you foresee the possibility of engaging other composers to be interested in the rest of the work as you have done?
So the question is, do you foresee the possibility of engaging other composers to write for the organ?
Absolutely. First of all, you should know that this Polorzowski Yankee Prize has really caught a lot of attention nationwide. So many composers that I know, professional and student composers, are talking about this competition. And they want to write for this, they want to, but like I, have a lot of trepidation. They're frightened of the instrument. And they don't have access to it. And I think that that's an issue too. Most of us don't have access to organs. And you need it when you're taking on the organ piece for the first time. But yes, I've talked with a great many of my colleagues in the field about doing a piece of organ, about this competition, about the wonderful opportunity given by the AGO. We've initiated this year at Indiana, the other Indiana, a program, this is something called Hammer and Nail. This has been going on for decades, where we pair a student composer with a student performer. And at first it was guitars, then we moved to harp, then we had dancers for many years, and this is the first year that we paired student composers with student organists. And the composer is supposed to work closely with the organist, writing a new work, a short piece, 5 to 7 minutes. That all these pieces will be premiered next month, on April 11th. And that's been a really exciting thing for our students. Here again, we do this to awaken the possibilities of this they don't want to like or deal with some dancers. We don't get that opportunity very often. So we're doing all we can to spread the gospel of the organ.
Which one was the hammer?
We don't know.
You don't
We never
specify?
know.
Good. what is behind the large-scale structure is the number of movements.
But when I decided that I would use these three composers, pay homage to these three composers, these three simple movements, it seemed kind of strange to have a three-movement piece for some reason. I don't really know why. But I wanted to find a way to get in and out of those movements seamlessly. So there's transitional passages, the glue of which is the model, because they're optioned very well. And you will hear those references to Mahler in each of the transitional passages. You can also hear references to all three of the other composers as well. If you know their music, you will say, okay, I see what you're doing there. If you don't, that's fine too. It doesn't matter one bit. But it's just the architecture I came up with, to have a seamless whole where I got in and out of those three simple movements. Using the material that is common for all the transitions.
Oh, go ahead.
So you had some help from colleagues basically telling you what each stop was, or how it was equivalent to a stop that you had access to on the hour call already. When you heard the piece for the first time here yesterday, was the result fairly close to what you expected, or were there some surprises? Because every organ is indeed very unique. So I was just curious how you responded to hearing it the first time yesterday.
Great. So based on your experience with other instruments, was first hearing your IEP similar?
Not initially, no. It was quite a bit. It was not markedly different, but there were some differences. Some stops were much softer here than the stops I worked with in India. Some stops were a little louder, which I didn't expect. And I was warned about this, of course, the organs, private organs with whom I work, that there's no way you're going to get the same results. Trust the performer will do things to get what you want, given the registration that I provided in the score, which is very explicit. And Mr. Owolomi did exactly that. At one point he came in and he noticed the stop we're using is just too soft to balance with the other material that you have. Therefore, I've had to do this. And it's worked out quite well. So adjustments, this is something else that as an orchestral composer I'm not used to having to do. When you go to an orchestra, everything is done, set. Forget, there's no way those players are going to change anything. That's the way it has to be. After the performance is over, you can change it. But with organ, of course, you have this great possibility to be flexible. And you can do different things. You have to do different things from what's on the page. And that was something I had to readjust my thinking to. It's perfectly okay to trust the performer, give it over to the performer, and let that performer shape the piece in accordance with the basic directions I do. And he's done a fantastic job.
One more. Well, I can speak for myself only, but I'm sure I speak for everyone else. Really but thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And I'm just kind of watching my channel here. Does that have any impact on how well this works? This connected to that, or is that totally?
I would think not, because we aren't connected into this at all.
Okay. And I don't know. All we do is say go broadcast on you, and then it takes off. And it's sort of like I could shut that off, and this thing would just keep on running.
Right. Okay. Yeah, see, I don't monitor it with the video software. You know, and
You watch it.
I'm always watching the YouTube version.
What I
And usually, yeah, let me just go shut this one off.
yeah, don't let me throw you up. Slow you up. It should, Thank you.
You're
I'm
welcome.
always thinking.
Good afternoon, university guests, students, organization members, and friends. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. My name is Christine Kuhl, and it is my privilege as IUP Yoga professor to welcome you to a most distinguished Oregon event here at IUP. The concert, of course, as you all know, is to be performed by Dr. Kola Olabi. Today's program, though, is presented to you by the Indiana-based organization, Carol Tate Memorial Organ Scholarship Committee, to which we are most grateful for all their efforts in making this concert possible today. We also wish to thank the American Guild of Organists for the special release opportunity with this beautiful Cogswell Yankee organ. And many people, many voices, many parties have contributed to today's event. However, we wish to very briefly bring your attention to just a few of these people who are distinguished guests. First of all, Mr. Ray Berger, the organ builder. He is with us today. Please stand and be acknowledged. Craftsmanship, we applaud Ray, and the gift is ongoing. Thank you. It's just such a delight to hear this instrument and to play it. As well, we'd like to welcome heartily Dr. Claude Baker, who is the winning composition composer in residence from Indiana University Bloomington. Dr. Baker, would you please stand and be applauded as well? At this time, I'd also like to introduce to you Dr. John Walker, President of the American Guild of Organists, who will bring greetings from New York. Dr. Walker.
Thank you, Christine. It is a joy as president of the AGO to represent the National Council, the Committee on New Music, and the headquarters staff of the AGO at this very auspicious occasion with the premiere of Claude Baker's Cet Hommage. When Messrs. Kobrzelski and Yankee bequeathed their estate to the American Guild of Organists, not only did they give us this beautiful new instrument, which we share with IUP, but they also established an endowed fund for the perpetual commissioning of new compositions specifically for this instrument. This is the first of those annual commissions, the first premiere. One will happen every year in perpetuity. By means of this partnership of IUP and the AGO, the city of Indiana, Pennsylvania, is ultimately going to be recognized as ground central for new organ compositions in America. This is truly a day for celebration. It is also a joy to be able to welcome Kola Olabi, Associate Professor of Organ at University of Michigan, our featured artist this afternoon. Please join me in a warm welcome for Kola.
I want to remind you that we are here this afternoon for two reasons. One is to enjoy some masterful organ playing. But the second is to ensure that there will still be people who can play so well 10, 20, 30, 40 years into the future. Organ students are not plentiful in the United States. Lessons are expensive. Not very many houses have organs in them, so it's not necessarily the most convenient instrument to access. Public schools tend to support instruments that fit into their ensembles, their orchestras, their marching bands. You can't take one of these out onto the football field at halftime very easily. 22 years ago, Professor Carol Chetty, the organ professor here, decided to do something about that. And she organized a committee made up of people from the university and the town to build an endowment in the IEP Foundation for the support of scholarships for organ students here at the university. So I hope that you are not only delighted by the music, but also inspired to make a contribution. I know that a number of you are on our mailing list, may already have sent in contributions, and for that I thank you. But if not, there's information in the program. There are envelopes here, in fact, if you want to send something in, and I will have those up here by the front, and you can pick one of those up and send a contribution off to the foundation. There's actually information inside the envelopes as to how to make out the check. So I ask you to be generous. For the students, yes, but also for yourselves, because these splendid instruments are simply too wonderful to be allowed to fall silent. Thank you. Now you can stretch your legs.
Yeah, that's the same, yeah.
Seniors professional marketing, there's two different versions of this, and this is the same one.
Yeah, this is the original one, and then they came out with that Pro, and I'm not sure what it does.
You could verify this firmware on this one, Matt, with what you're running is the software. I know it's black with That's the only camera they had.
All right. When's your next
Friday over here and then Sunday over here. And they're both with Zach. The one on Friday is the tubaphonium ensemble, his like large ensemble, and then the Sunday afternoon is he's sharing a faculty recital with somebody out in Gators. But those are really the next two.
If we don't come up with anything, I don't know if you'd want to try this unit with your camera to see on Friday or not. Do you think it would be different if you log it as yourself rather than me? It connects. Usually it says Jim Glass streaming. Here it says log in. I'm not sure why that's different. It is obviously working. I would say if there's something wrong with the VDU.
Or are you around Friday afternoon? Reason for asking around. Well, what I was wondering was, do you want me to give you ours? And then just plug it, I mean, through the week, you could plug it in and just let it sit there and do nothing and see if you're getting that.
Yeah, that's true too.
And then I can just meet you someplace,
With this
Friday.
camera, then, and if it works okay with this camera, then maybe something going on with the protocol through the camera.
Right.
It's got to be down to two things, I think.
But the camera issue caused the
Installation that we're seeing.
I guess if it got out of sync with some of those that the other thing that's kind of interesting is I was looking, I'm not sure what this is telling me. This is the
discouraging. Well, as long as we figure out and get it fixed, we're all set.
This is, I'll tell you what, this is the
Right, yeah. That's why I ended up removing it. I ended up closing it up. It was like, oh, just easier to start from scratch. Because I'm not sure what I'm doing, logging in and stuff. I think that's when I lost my login.
She tells everybody it's time to go back to your seats. See the little thing turning around in the top?
Oh, no. Oh, jeez. I heard that like a ringing.
That's a little like
Yeah.
chime thing that they have inside of the room.
I'd like to ask Dr. Baker to join me for a presentation. On behalf of the National Council of the American Guild of Organists, the Committee on New Music, and the staff, it is my honor and privilege to be able to recognize you as our first commissioned composer in the Cogswell Yankee Award ceremony that is going to exist in perpetuity through the 21st century. Your composition, Set Homage, is the first of these commissioned works, which we expect year by year to transform the future of organ music in America. Thank you for being our first commissioned composer. We'd like to read the certificate to you. The American Guild of Organists, Ronald G. Kugler-Zelski and Lester D. Yankee Annual Competition 2016 Award presented to Todd Baker for Set Homage this 13th day of March 2016, Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Signed, Eileen J. Hunt, Director of the New Music Committee, Mary B. Stutz, National Secretary, John Walker, President. Thank you and our congratulations. I just want to quickly thank Mr. Walker and the AGO for this commission. This has been a wonderful opportunity for me. I'm deeply grateful and honored to have been the first recipient of the Cogswell Yankee Prize. I also want to thank Christine Poole for all the hard work she has put in organizing this event. If ever you have done something like this, you know how much work goes into it. So thank you very much. His wonderful performance of my piece. This is words I said in the pre-concert talk that makes a lot of demands on the performer. And he has met every challenge I put forth to him. So I want to thank him as well. Thank you, John, and thank all of you for coming.